Welcome everyone. In this old-time fiddle lesson, we'll be taking a look at the tune Lost Train Blues. This tune is in the key of G, played in standard tuning, and it comes originally from the fiddling of Fred Perry, but there are many other notable versions out there, including fiddling Arthur Smith and more contemporary recordings of this popular tune. It's a fast, bluesy tune, and it's a lot of fun to play, so let's get right into it. First, I'll play the tune for you a few times so you can hear how it goes. Then I'll slow it down and break it apart. All right, Lost Train Blues, here we go. All right, that is Lost Train Blues. Now let me slow it down a little bit for you before I break it apart. This is the melody played slow. Well, you get the idea on that part. It doesn't really work slow, does it? We'll take a look at that in a minute. Let's break it apart in pieces first. It just starts out with this high note. That's that first phrase. We're going to use some slides around the F sharp note here, so it's not completely in the scale of G major. We got some of these blue notes, notably the F sharp slides here. So kicks off with this G. That's the first phrase. Second phrase. So there, we're just going to slide down. Basically, the first phrase slides up into the F sharp, from the F to the F sharp, and the second phrase slides down. So the second phrase slides down from the F sharp. That's kind of a special feature of this tune, trademark, as it were. All right, so first phrase. Second phrase. And here's the third phrase. And then we have the tag, which is this. All right, let's go over those one more time. I'll try to do a little bit slower this time for those who maybe still trying to catch some of those notes. So first phrase. And then the tag. that tag phrase in the A part is probably one of the hardest parts of the tune. So, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to the B part. You have kind of a lot of action around this G and B note, this double stop. That's pretty much what's going on in the B part. Let's take a closer look at that. That's pretty much the B part right there. A lot of these phrases in here aren't real complicated. It's just about kind of getting the groove and making it sound right. So one of the things when you come into that first phrase on the B part, you can either slide into that double stop slide in with your first finger sliding up on that B note, or you can do a hammer-on. So that's pretty much what's going on in the B part. Pretty straightforward. Just try to get that in tune. That can be tricky sometimes, but with a lot of practice, that'll come into place. That tag there. Use the F in that, F natural. That's pretty much the B part. Now, if we look at the C part, there's a couple different variations that people use on this. I'm going to teach you the first version. Is you slide up with your pinky into this D note. That's really cool bluesy train sound there. Everybody loves these kinds of tunes because they're so much fun to play. They mimic these sounds, these old freight engines. It's really, really cool. So yeah, you just kind of, you use your pinky on this G string and you slide into that D. It's a unison where your pinky's playing D and then you've got to get that open D there, which means you have to have your pinky rounded over a little bit. It can be a workout for the pinky, but it's a great sound. So definitely don't hurt yourself there. But if that pinky is weak, you can kind of work up, get a little bit of strength and dexterity in that finger by practicing some of these runs. So, and all those kind of sounds are just created by sliding the pinky. And then the very end of that, you slide down with the pinky and up with the ring finger, or sorry, second finger on the B string, or sorry, the B note. So that is one way to do the C part. The other way here is you can take this, excuse me, double stop. There we go, that's in tune. And you can slide that up to this position. And that's basically your third finger now is playing the B note on this D string, and your first finger is playing the D note on the A string. Not quite perfectly in tune. A lot of bluegrass fiddlers and stuff will be familiar with this. It's a little bit harder for old-time fiddlers to learn this. But it's something you can kind of just work on, and if it's dirty at first, it's kind of cool. Get it dirty and slide around a little bit. So you slide up and then slide down 1/2 step and then back up and then down. That's the Fiddle and Arthur Smith move. Something like that. It's fun to practice. With a bit of practice, you can really nail those slides into those double stops. And then finally, so those are the two variations that I know of the C part for Lost Train Blues. Now the final thing you can do here, the D part, is this really, really cool bow lick. And the way this is achieved, it's basically this train sound, and the way it's done is really cool. It's by moving the bow up and down the fingerboard of the fiddle, creates that sound. And depending on how you grip your bow, the way I do it is I have a pretty strong grip with all my fingers in contact. And I'm using my thumb here. I've got my thumb kind of more in the classical style where my thumb actually pushes against the hair, so I've got my bow locked in. And that allows me to move the bow back and forth. I even lock my pinky down sometimes to get that effect. But however you hold your bow, that's what you have to be able to achieve, is that. And during that, what you're doing with your left hand is holding that double stop, that G, B double stop. So the tricky part is going back and forth between the melodic runs with normal bowing and the little train lick here with the bow. There's another move. I don't use that in this, but sometimes tunes like Orange Blossom Special, all those train tunes, you can pluck that E string like it's the bell of the train. Anyways, that's the those are all the different phrases for Lost Train Blues put together. So let's talk about the bowing now that I use. It's a lot of single strokes. There's not a lot of slurs. I think that's all just straight bow strokes. So there we go. Okay, I'm lying to you. So there is a that's on an upstroke. That's the only slur though. And then we have, and that's a, that's the only complicated bowing I use, is that very last tag. I'll do that one more time so you can see what it is. Okay, so it's a 3-note slur. And then we're going to do a bunch of 2-note slurs. So and then single strokes. That's how it should sound. That's a great bowing to use here because some of these quick phrases, they can sound a bit choppy if you don't have the right bowing and slurs that kind of make it smooth. Some of these other phrases in these fast fiddle tunes that are kind of string band style and meant to be played kind of ragged and choppy, single bow strokes work really well, but you are going to want to find the places to put the slurs in, like on this first part where you got them, where you're not doing too many single quick notes, but you're using some slurs to break those apart. It makes it sound smoother. So here's the bowing that I'm showing you on the A part again. Sorry. One more time. That's the bowing that will work for the A part if you want to try that out. That's the bowing you can use for the B part right there. It works pretty well. So, certainly getting tune here. There you go. So that part right there is just the only slur. So 3-note followed by a 2-note slur. Again, the whole B part bowed out. Moving into the C part. That's pretty straightforward right there. You can kind of make that up. You don't have to worry too much about what you're doing in their bowing there because this is a tune that's going to be played with an accompanist, so you're not really trying to keep the rhythm there. You're just having fun with those slides, so not much to worry about there. And depending on if you end on a down bow or an up bow, if you end on a down bow, you can always get the first pickup notes of the next phrase with an upstroke before you go into the train thing. Or if you end on an up bow, you can start the next phrase with a long down 3-note slur. So either way you end that phrase on the C part, the next part you come into, just vary your bowing like that and you'll be all right. As long as when you get to this G note that you're kind of pulling a down bow, because that will be a really strong beat, and pulling a down bow for most fiddlers provides that really great emphasis on the rhythm. Okay, so then we're into the trick, the bow trick, which again is just moving the bow back and forth. It's kind of hard to do slow, but that's basically it. Working on it a little bit slow, it should sound like this. Remember, you're not trying to get any sound. You're not trying to make the strings ring. You're just moving your bow back and forth. And basically the other bowings for that part, for the fiddle trick part, is pretty straightforward. Just it's all saw strokes, I think. That's pretty much it. Might seem tricky right now, but it's pretty simple stuff. If you practice it slow, you can get it fast. And if it's a little ragged around the edges, all the better. All right, there you have it. That's pretty much Lost Train Blues broken apart for you in this old-time fiddle lesson. I hope you appreciate this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're in a position to support this lesson series, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/Chance McCoy Music. The patrons over there are giving me a job by supporting me to do these lessons. So if you want to join them, please head over there. And if you just want to drop a tip in the virtual tip jar, we got all the links there in the description of this video. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to play this tune a couple more times on the way out of this video, so anybody who's learned it thus far feel like they have their fingers around it. Let's play along.